Hi students, it is Mrs. Girot here, and I am just wanting to share with you still some vocabulary regarding the Martin Luther King Jr. Civil rights movement. And even though we can't meet today, I still wanted to just reach out to you and let you know that I'm thinking about you and want you to continue to learn and grow. So here's the Martin Luther King Jr. vocabulary cards that you have downloaded that were attached to this email. The first vocabulary word is boycott. It is the act of refusing to buy or use something to go somewhere in order to make a protest or bring about a change. The bus boycott in Montgomery began in 1955 when African Americans protested their unequal treatment on public transportation by refusing to take it. Synonyms, or words that mean the same as boycott, are strike and embargo. So if you wanted to use this word in a sentence or give an example to show you understand its meaning and you print these off, you can go ahead and fill that out. And you could also draw a picture of that. Civil rights. Certain rights, such as the right to vote and own property in the United States, these rights are promised to all citizens. Martin Luther King Jr. was a leader in the fight to extend civil rights, such as voting, to all American citizens. Civil rights movement. African Americans struggled to gain equality to white people in the 1950s and 1960s in the United States. During the 1950s and 1960s, people throughout the United States were involved in the civil rights movement and worked tirelessly to gain equality for African Americans. Dream. A strong hope or wish. Her dream is to become a doctor and help people. She really hopes she can achieve it. Equal. The same for everyone. Most humans have an equal number of fingers on each hand, 5 and 5. Synonyms for equal are same. Minister. A person who can perform or help at the religious services of some religions. Tony and Maria were married by a minister in a church. Nonviolence. The practice of refusing to use violence to achieve goals. Instead of engaging in harmful tactics like fighting, the protesters made their demands known through nonviolence. Protest. To express that you object to or disagree with something in a planned, organized way. Thousands of citizens decided to protest the Vietnam War during the 1960s. They expressed their objection to it through rallies and other organized actions. An antonym, or a word that means the opposite of protest, is assent. Assent would mean to go along with or to agree with it. Rosa Parks, U.S. civil rights activist who was arrested in 1955 in Montgomery, Alabama, for refusing to obey segregation laws on a bus. This action inspired a lot of civil rights activism. One of the most famous figures of the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks refused to give up her bus seat for a white passenger and inspired others to fight against unequal treatment. Segregation. The practice of separating people according to groups, especially racial groups. Black and white children were separated and not allowed to go to the same schools when Jim Crow laws enforced segregation in the United States. Synonyms, or words that mean the same, are apartheid and separation. Antonyms, or words that mean the opposite, would be integration. So to integrate means that we all come together as one. Perfect. Now let's do some reading comprehension. I will read out loud and you read along with me. and then we'll answer the questions below at the bottom. It's always a good test-taking strategy to read the question first so you know what you're looking for. What is the main idea of the passage? A. King graduated high school earlier than most people do. B. The school in Pennsylvania where King studied theology was not segregated. C. King was elected president of his mostly white senior class. D. Throughout his life, King was educated at many schools, some of which were segregated. Remember, we're looking for the main idea. Number 1. As a child, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. attended segregated public schools. The law said that black students like King had to go to their own schools, separate from white students. King was a good student, and he graduated high school 3 years earlier than most people do. He went to college in Atlanta, Georgia. King then went on to study theology, the study of religious faith, at a school in Pennsylvania. This school was not segregated. In fact, King's senior class was mostly white, and he was elected president of it. King's education wasn't finished yet. In 1953, he got yet another degree from a school in Boston, a doctorate in theology. A doctorate is the highest degree that universities give out. This is why King is called Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, if we're looking for the main idea, we're looking for something that is an overarching theme. So, the fact that he graduated high school earlier than most people do, that's a detail. That is just a detail. And that King was elected president, that's another detail. The school in Pennsylvania where he studied theology not being segregated was a detail. But the main idea was that throughout his life, King was educated at many schools, some of which were segregated. All right, number 2. Let's read the question. According to the passage, why was Rosa Parks arrested on December 1st, 1955? Was it because she moved to the back of a bus and allowed a white person to sit in her seat? Was it because she wouldn't give up her seat on a bus where black people were supposed to give their seats to whites? Was it because she told everyone on a bus in Montgomery to stand up? Or because she tried to drive a bus in Montgomery? Number 2, read out loud with me. In Montgomery, Alabama, and throughout the South, public transportation like the bus system was segregated. Black passengers had to sit in the backs of buses while white passengers sat in the front. As more white passengers got on, black passengers were asked to give up their seats for them. On December 1st, 1955, a civil rights activist named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white passenger when a bus driver asked her to. "I don't think I should have to stand up," Parks said. She was arrested. All right, so Rosa Parks was arrested because she wouldn't give up her seat. Number 3, which of the following best describes a boycott? Many people buy clothes from a company to show that they like the new styles of shirts that the company is making. Many people stop buying clothes from a company to show that they're unhappy with the way that the company treats workers. People say that they're unhappy with a company that sells clothes. A company starts charging people more money for its clothes. Let's read. After Rosa Parks' arrest, King helped organize a boycott of the Montgomery buses. When people boycott, they refuse to buy, use, or do something to show that they're unhappy with the situation. During the Montgomery bus boycott, thousands of African American people stopped riding the buses to protest bus segregation. Instead, they walked or carpooled. African American taxi drivers also charged people less money so that more people could take taxis. The boycott lasted for 381 days. Ultimately, the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was against the U.S. Constitution. And so the best example that describes a boycott would be many people stop buying clothes from a company to show that they're unhappy with the way the company treats workers. Next, Mahatma Gandhi. Which of the following best describes the relationship between King and Gandhi? A, King and Gandhi were good friends and worked together. B, King didn't like Gandhi's work and fought against it. C, Gandhi studied King's work and brought King's ideas to India. Or D, King liked Gandhi's work and tried to do similar work in the U.S. Number 4, during King's time studying theology, he learned about the work of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi was an activist in the country of India. He used nonviolent or peaceful tactics to win freedom for his country. King admired Gandhi's work. He began to think that African American people in the United States could also use nonviolence to protest unjust laws. King traveled over 6 million miles around the U.S., giving speeches and supporting nonviolent protests. He led marches and boycotts and joined sit-ins. A sit-in is a form of protest in which people sit in a place and refuse to leave. During the Civil Rights Movement, African Americans held sit-ins at restaurants that wouldn't serve them. So the correct answer, the relationship between King and Gandhi, is that King liked Gandhi's work and tried to do similar work in the United States. Which detail from the passage shows the effect that television had during civil rights demonstrations? A, in 1963, King helped organize large nonviolent demonstrations in Birmingham, Alabama. B, the police reacted violently. C, this shocked many people and caused them to support civil rights. And D, he was also threatened and attacked. So we're looking at the detail in the passage that shows the effect that television had during the civil rights demonstrations. Number 5. In 1963, King helped organize large nonviolent civil rights demonstrations in Birmingham, Alabama. The police reacted violently. They brought dogs and sprayed water from fire hoses on the black people who attended. Images of the violence were caught on camera and shown on television across the nation. This shocked many people and caused them to support civil rights. King and many other protesters were arrested and put in jail during the Birmingham demonstrations. Throughout his fight for civil rights, King was arrested 20 times. He was also threatened and attacked. So what was the effect that the television broadcasts had on these demonstrations? According to the passage, this shocked many people and caused them to support civil rights. That's the effect. Cause and effect. So that cause is a really big clue that you have there. So answer is C. Let's see here. What is the meaning of the word dream in the passage above? Is it A, thoughts, visions, or feelings that happen when someone is sleeping? Is it B, something that is very beautiful to look at? C, something that you really want to be true or that you have wanted for a long time? Or D, a period of time when you are not aware of the real world? Read with me. In August 1963, about 250,000 people marched through Washington, D.C. They did this to call attention to the unequal treatment of African Americans and to show their support for civil rights. At this time, at this march, King gave a powerful speech. He talked about his dream for the United States. He said that he very much wanted everyone, no matter what they looked like, to have equal rights. In 1964, King became the youngest person to win a Nobel Peace Prize. This prize is awarded once a year to a person who has done great work to create peace. When he accepted his Nobel Prize, King gave a similarly powerful speech. He described how he believed that truth and love would conquer evil. So the meaning of dream is something that you really want to be true or that you have wanted to have for a long time. Based on the passage, what became true after the Civil Rights Acts of 1964 was passed? A. Public places could be segregated and people of different skin colors kept separate. B. A person could not be turned down for a job because she had dark skin. C. Many people were turned down for jobs in Congress. D. King and other civil rights leaders got jobs in Congress. Read along. 7. King's work helped the Civil Rights Act of 1964 get passed. The Civil Rights Act ended segregation in public places like schools. It also said that someone could not be turned down for a job based on their skin color, their religion, where they come from, or whether they are male or female. President John F. Kennedy first suggested the Civil Rights Act. Some lawmakers from the South were against it. However, Congress ultimately passed it. It was signed into law by the president who came after Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson. King and other civil rights leaders were there for the signing. So, based on the passage, what became true? Well, let's see here. It's not A, it's not C, and it's not D. So, a person could not be turned down for a job because she had dark skin. The next attachment that you've downloaded is a copy of a rap that we are going to watch on vocabulary. So please tune in to the next video on the list.